This podcast and content posted by Dr. Judith Joseph is presented solely for general informational, educational, and entertainment purposes. The use of information on this podcast or materials linked from this podcast or website is at the user's own risk. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional diagnoses or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical or mental health condition they may have and should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions.
Hello, I'm so grateful that you chose to listen to this podcast. I'm Dr. Judith, a board-certified psychiatrist and researcher. And on this podcast, you will hear from world-renowned experts. At the end of every single podcast of The Vault, every expert talks about a time in their lives when they were struggling and no one knew it. And they talk about what they used to get through that struggle. So make sure you listen through till the end and you subscribe and share with a friend.
Tia Safo and I first met in DC at a TikTok event for the Congressional Black Caucus. She's founder and CEO of a tech startup, Claire, a compliance software for the childcare industry. But in addition to her thriving startup, Tisia is a beauty and fragrance influencer who has reached over 100 million social media accounts. She went viral on platforms such as The Shade Room for her unique perspective on dating and relationships. And after auditioning as a single in the DMV, Tisia was cast on OWN Network's Ready to Love Season 5. Mm-hmm. I think it kind of reaffirms what people already know what they need to be doing, right? Especially when they're in a toxic relationship. It's not easy to get out of those.
It's not. And the therapists write me. They literally say, girl, I wish I could say what you're saying. I just send them, they literally DM me and tell me that they wish that they could tell their clients what I'm saying. And they just send them my page. It's very, very difficult. And I have a girl community of over 1,000 women, and I hear stories literally all day, every day.
Tisia is named after her late mother's birth story of wanting to see her after long hours in labor. And her name is significant because many people seek Tisia for her relationship advice. She's a breath of fresh air in the dating advice world where a lot of coaches don't really tell it like it is, but Tisia's got you covered. You don't want to miss this episode of The Vault. Tisia, thank you so much for being in The Vault today.
You are so welcome. Thank you for having me.
I met you in DC at a TikTok event during Congressional Black Caucus Week, and you were just so radiant and so beautiful inside out that I was like, I need to have you on The Vault.
Thank you. And I think we followed each other there, and I've been following you and all of your success for a while now as well. So it's been great to watch.
Yes. And Andrea, who brought us together because she just knows all the best people. And since I've been following you, I've really loved your content because you are very straightforward. No sugarcoating it. You tell people how you feel, what you advise. And I think that's been a large part of the appeal, at least for me, watching your content, like having someone say, listen, this is how it is. Like it or leave it, but this is how it is. How did you enter this space of dating and coaching? Tell us about your journey.
So the funniest thing is that I wish I had a really cool story about how I got here. But what I can say is that Facebook has sent me memories from 2011 when I was on the internet telling people to see us 5 tips for dating. So I have a psychology degree. I've always been interested in human behavior, interactions, kind of mating and compatibility science. And I've always been into it. And I would share my dating stories literally since I was in grad school. So I went to grad school at UT Austin, and I would, back when you could post a story, I would put all of that on Facebook. And then I moved to New York after I graduated, and I would tell stories of the man at the 2 train, the trash man, and people would follow them hey girl, what happened to that man you met? And so it was always a thing, and I've always been, interested in it. And I think that a little bit about my life, I ended up starting a tech startup, which was a compliance software for the daycare industry. And it was just such a dog world. I was I'm going to burn myself out. And then I lost my mom. And so I said to myself, what what would you do for free? Like, what is it that you want to do if you never had to make $1? And I started making videos in my car, and they just started going viral. The shade room, on site. And I mean, I'm telling you, I did not comb my hair. I was in my car sweaty from after the gym. And I was just like, this is what you need to do. If a man told you this. And I think I wish somebody would have saved me when I was younger. Like, I felt like I made so many mistakes, and I was so lost, and I had abandonment issues. I had childhood trauma. I was so insecure. I was attracting all of these narcissists, and I wish somebody would have saved me. Hence why I give it to you real, like, straight talk. Like, I don't sugarcoat. It's like, girl, he doesn't like you. Wake up, get over it, you know? And I think I personally wish, in terms of my delivery, that someone would have told me, because I don't think I had a lot of just like elders and just, you know, chaperones, even like a godmother, a auntie. Like, I went to grad school, graduated about 5 times. My family, half of them even came to my, you know, graduation. So I didn't really have that kind of like mentorship. And so that's why I consider myself like a big sister. Apparently I'm an auntie now. I'm old enough to be an auntie now. So I guess I'm not a big sister anymore. I'm an auntie, you know, on the internet. But I really wish someone would have told me straight. Like, just straight.
Yeah, I think that there's real like power in that too, because when you go to a therapist, the therapist doesn't tell you straight, right? Because they ethically can't, right? They can't tell you like, do this, do that. They want you to figure it out on your own. So a lot of times people feel like, well, I don't know what to do, you know? And so I think having someone like you who's been through these lived real experiences and talk about your experiences and be like, you know, this is what I've seen in the real world is like reassuring. So like if you go to your therapist and your therapist is like, well, you know, think about your attachment styles, think about your abandonment issues, think about your trauma, and then, you know, put that into play. And then you're like, listen, I've been there. I've had the attachment. I've had the abandonment issues. And this is what happened to me. And this is what you should do, right? I think it kind of like reaffirms what people already know what they need to be doing, right? Especially when they're in a toxic relationship. It's not easy to get out of those.
It's not. And the therapists write me. They literally say, girl, I wish I could say what you're saying. I just said, they literally DM me and tell me that they wish that they could tell their clients what I'm saying. And they just send them my page instead. But yeah, it's very, very difficult. And I have a girl community of over 1,000 women, and I hear stories literally all day, every day. It's a WhatsApp chat that goes on all day. And so I always say, like, it's from, like, my perspective is like from the streets to the internet. I'm getting the live feeds of they're on my phone all day. And so I'm hearing women that are going through very bad things, very dangerous things. Like some of them don't want to live anymore. Some of them are going through terrible divorces. They're fighting for their children. It's a whole big thing. And having just that space where we can even say simple things. Some people are new to dating, or they were, you know, in a marriage and now they're divorced and getting back into dating. And I'm like, girl, you better not go to a bar on your first date. Like that's, you know, and so it's like all the girls are chiming in like, yeah, girl, no, you shouldn't do that. And it's crazy because you can't see it when it's you, but you can see it with other, you know, when somebody else is going through it. Yes. And so it's my secret girls chat that I've created. So like we can talk about these things without men in our business.
I think that's brilliant. And, you know, I saw one of the posts that you did where I loved it. You were like on a boat and you're like, I'm not thinking about no man right now. I'm just having fun with my friends. And I think a lot of people can't do that. You know, they get so caught up in these relationships and they're just like, well, who am I without this person, right? Like, who's my identity? Especially if you were partnered or you were divorced, you built a family, and then you're like, well, like, who am I now? And I think people do forget who they are before they got into a relationship. Maybe it's because the person broke them down psychologically, or maybe the person kind of like made them leave their friends or choose them over others. But people do get lost. They end up like wasting time in a relationship and realizing, wait, I don't know who I am anymore, especially if the relationship was toxic. So what are some of the tips that you could give to someone, if someone's listening to this and they're feeling stuck or lost? What are 3 things that they need to hear to help them to find themselves again?
One of the first things is, and this may sound like cliche, you're not getting that time back. please do not cry for that long. So many people are like, oh, however long you're with somebody, sometimes it takes you half that time to get over them. I said, if you've been with a man for 5 years, you better not spend 2.5 getting over him. Okay, trust me, it is not that serious. Please, please, please do not spend that much time. And it may seem toxic, but I feel like breakups, you can get over them quicker than you think. So just, not spending that much time on the breakup. But also just the second thing I think is, I just spoke about this yesterday, is that the relationship is really about you. And a lot of times you hone in on all of the good memories that you have. This is why people end up crying. They're mourning all of the good memories, but you didn't do a true audit of that relationship. There's a reason why you're not together. It doesn't have to be anything scandalous. It's just oh, this person's going to school. They're prioritizing their career. You all live in different cities or whatever the case may be. But who were you when you were with that person? When I was in my relationships, it's who was I? And doing an audit of the pieces of me that I did not want to be. Was I overly clingy? Was I, a little codependent? Was I into all of those things that I don't want to be? I think about those things when I move forward in a relationship or just move forward in life. So I think doing a true audit, tell the truth about it. So many people, like I said, they have the good things stuck in their head. And it's did that man cheat on you? Wasn't he a liar? Did you date him for 8 years? He never took you home to meet his mama. Are you hello? Do a real, true audit of it. And then look good, do good. I'm telling you, don't ever break up and that man come back around, he or she come back around and you back where you the same place you were. Please invest in yourself. Go back to school, get another degree, lose a couple pounds, get your skin together, get your real estate license, do something. I really feel like you should invest in yourself because that is the ultimate revenge. So
I love it. I love everything you say. And what you said about wasting the time, because you don't get that time back. There are things that are certain in life. Time cannot be turned back yet. And death is certain, right?
Yes.
Don't waste that time. And it's not to say that your feelings are going to go away, you're going to be back to normal. Yes, go through the process. But also, two things can be true. You can be grieving, but also getting exercise. You could be mourning the past and also connecting with your friends. You could be sad about the love that's lost and getting another degree. Two things can't be true.
Yeah. And I think also just growing in perspective, you don't own people. And I think that some people think of relationship as ownership and you belong with them and they kind of belong to you. But when this is probably 5-7 years ago, I saw a podcast and they were talking about if you truly love someone, you want the best for for them, even if it's, not with you. And it really just made me think wow, I do want you to accelerate. I do want you to do better. I want you to find somebody that's more compatible. Maybe we're not really in alignment. And when I realized that everybody is living their own journey, it relieved so much off of me. And I stopped internalizing everything the world does not revolve around you. Everything is not about you. Sometimes people prioritize themselves and they are these are the things I want to do. And whoever on the bus is coming and whoever isn't is not, and I think that that's one of my actually toxic traits in terms of detachment that I feel really helped me along the way, because from the way that I was raised, just a lot of chaos and not a lot of stability, I don't attach myself to things quickly, and so for me, it allows me to detach a little better because I always feel these are human beings that are breathing the same air that I am, these are not some superpower humans. And I think that it gives me a grounded perspective because it takes me a while to attach. And again, that's from toxic things in my childhood. But I think that it definitely allows me to prioritize people. I have dated men and I'm hey, I'm moving back home to Chicago. And they're when? 3 days from now. I will be gone out there. I don't let nobody stop my dreams. I don't let anybody, even my family. I just am always like laser focused. And so it does allow me to see the real about things quicker than I think most people do. So
you can't control other people. If they're going to leave, they're going to leave. If they're going to love someone else, they're going to love someone else. If they're going to decide to not make your priority, that's their decision. You cannot control them. The only thing you can control is yourself. And I think that is so profound, yet so simple. But if we can all internalize that, then we put our efforts and our time and our energies in the right place where they belong with us. Because there's only going to ever be one you, only going to ever be one me in the future of the universe and in the history of the universe. So we need to take care of ourselves and prioritize ourselves. And when we do that, we project this energy out there that we are worthy, and then other people treat us as if we are worthy too. So it's a ripple effect. And I think if people only really internalize that and they knew that, they would operate so differently. So you're kind of like you're like the avatar for the woman who's like, I wish I were like that. But it is as simple as owning the fact that you can only control you. And I think that's a great place to start. If someone is listening to this and, they're in a situation where everybody else is saying, the person's good, like they're nice to you, like don't worry about it, but how they treat you behind closed doors, right? How do you deal with those type of manipulative situations? Because they are tricky. And I'm sure you've heard these stories before in your group with the women that you work with. So how do you deal with someone who is very manipulative and, you have the outside people who don't understand what's going on telling you to stay, but you got to go?
Well, the outside people, that's one thing. Half these people going to come to your wedding and don't bring a gift, okay? Half these people going to come to your wedding and eat all your food and eat the open bar and not pay a dime. So trust me, do not worry about these people, especially if it's getting like borderline abusive and things like that. Like the show, all of those things crumble. I think that some of the healthiest just relationships and marriages that I've seen, it's real and raw. It's no facade. It's two people that know each other well through all the flaws and things like that. So when you are living this kind of double life, it will crumble. And it's going to be at your expense, like it definitely will crumble. So again, don't listen to outside people, because again, these people have no investment in your relationship. And also that you don't want to build things on like a false image. It's definitely not a good idea. You don't want to build things on a false image. And also don't spend time with things that don't make you feel good. A gut check, our intuition is like one of our biggest superpowers. So just doing a gut check, if it doesn't feel good, it's not good. And I have had so many innuendos in my life where it was just tiny things. And how something just make your gut jump and you're like, what is that? Those are the things to pay attention to. Side note, dating a guy once upon a time, and he was just so like OCD about everything. And so one time I came over to his house kind of like in the middle of the night. When I went in, went upstairs to his bedroom, he says, I heard you downstairs scratching my floors. He had just bought this beautiful like 4-story home. He's like, I heard you down. Not a hello, not a hey baby, I miss you. Where have you been? Like not a kiss or nothing. He was like, I heard you downstairs like scratching my floor. Well, I never dated him again. It was just like so many of those little small things. And I'm just like, you wake up on the wrong side of the bed way too many days out the week, and like those little, if it doesn't feel good, it isn't good. And to some people that may not be like, oh, well, maybe he just bought a home and he didn't want you. But I felt it in my gut that something about that stuff was not right. And I'm glad we're not dating or together.
Yeah, for sure. If a person values things over a partner, that is a problem, because if that person were half as intelligent, they would know that the value, when you put a certain value on relationships and healthy relationships with a healthy person, that will add on to your life. That's like the number one predictor of longevity.
Yes.
So those floors, they're not going to last, but that relationship with a good person is going to actually add to your livelihood. So if you're listening and you're with someone who values things over you,
Yeah.
Please know what the science shows. The science shows that they need to put more value in their relationships.
Yeah, and also just like hypercritical and negging, like negging and hypercritical, somebody that's just like always picking and throwing a rock and hiding. Oh no, I didn't mean it like that. Like somebody that's just hypercritical of you. You want somebody who, it's something very mature and sexy about just holding your tongue. Like you don't have to say everything that you feel, and like these like subliminal like lashing of just everything like you're a child, that you'll have a miserable life with that person. Trust me.
You will. And what you said about the relationships that you've noticed that have been the most healthy are the ones where it's real, it's raw, there's no performative aspect. So if you find yourself performing in these relationships, then something's up, because you shouldn't have to fake who you are. You shouldn't have to hide things. Yes, no one's perfect. And we're not saying go out and like fight in public and air your dirty laundry. That's not what's considered real. That's also toxic. But also, like, if you can't be yourself in a relationship, then that, listen to your gut. That is not okay. So, if you're listening to this and you just don't know, let's say you don't have friends, or maybe your friends are not supportive, or maybe your friends secretly want you to fail, know that if your gut tells you that you have to perform and act for this person to love you, then that's a problem. That is not love, because love is accepting, and love is respectful, and love is forgiving.
And kind.
So you don't have to be perfect for this person. I'm so glad that you talk about your skin and hair, because I personally think that is so important for your mental health. I don't think it's vanity at all. I think, especially as Black women, we were not told that we were beautiful from the mass culture. We have this incredible capacity to find beauty in our own culture, so that other people look on us and they're like, wow, we want some of that, right? But I love the content that you create around beauty. And many people don't know this, but when you lovingly touch yourself, when you take care of your body, you're literally releasing the love hormone oxytocin, which is telling your brain that you are worthy of love. And then you act in a way where others perceive that you're worthy of love. So tell us about your skin and hair routine. What are the top 3 things that you use to maintain your glow and to, keep you feeling like good about yourself?
Well, just to start, I don't think people know that like hormones ruined my life about 15 years ago. My weight would go up and down. I had hormonal acne, and actually like a lot of my hair fell out. I still can hear like washing my hair in the shower, and you hear those thumps and you think it's suds, and it was my hair hitting the shower. It was hitting the shower floor. So like I got off of birth control probably about 17 years ago, and my hair and my body has never been the same since. And I've spent exactly $22,000+ trying to figure out, from holistic doctors, from trichologists to dermatologists, everything, iron, thyroid, and all that stuff checked. Nonetheless, a lot of my beauty products are just like natural, simple, soothing. My face wash has like aloe and cucumber in it. Even the brightening products that I have for hyperpigmentation is something more like turmeric or things like that. A lot of my soaps and stuff have turmeric in it. I try not to do too many steps, but like a good toner. And so because of the hormonal acne, I have like acne pick stars that are very subliminal, very small, but I still use things to like just tighten my pores. My makeup products are like pore blurring, so that I can like, put on my makeup and things like that. So I'm always kind of like correcting. I have like, orange corrector that I'll use to like correct dark spots, but I try to keep things simple with as natural ingredients as I can. And we all know that the Korean skincare is kicking up, and like, they've been using it for years, and now everybody's trying to get glass skin. So, just those are a lot of the products that I use. I love a detangling shampoo. I love a dry shampoo as well. Like if you wear hair extensions, something to just like, refresh it, on the go. But I love products. I'm a Sephora, Ulta. I just love any type of, products to try. And so, yeah, I think that I try to keep it as simple as possible and as natural, because I do have sensitive skin. So they usually have some type of soothing agent in them.
That's important, to know what you're putting on your skin, because a lot of times, especially if you have allergies or, some of these chemicals are toxic and we don't know about it until after the fact. So trying to stick to the natural ingredients. And I'm glad you brought up hormones, because in my work with hormones and mental health, a lot of times, people's hormonal fluctuations can wreak havoc on their skin and their hair, on their mood, their sleep, their weight, everything. So, if you go to a doctor and they don't know, get a second, get a third opinion. And, for women who are in their 30s to early 40s, know that perimenopause can start during that period, so that can play a part in your hair loss and all that stuff as well.
We have to talk offline about that, because I literally am still trying to figure out what is going on with my hair and just my body. So yes, we'll talk about that.
Yes, we will. And I always ask my experts like yourself, what was a time in your life when on the outside you looked put together? Everyone was like, oh my gosh, you're doing so well. I want to be like you. But you knew on the inside you were struggling. No one knew it. And how did you get through that period?
Oh, I honestly feel like even to this day, that is a current thing. Literally right now, I think people have seen my numbers climbing a lot, but there was so much that I was dealing with. Number one, I had survivor's remorse. I was the one to go to college in my family, and I left my whole family back in Chicago. I lost both of my parents, and I still don't think I really quite processed that my weight has fluctuated up and down. And that really affected me as well. And then the nature of my content, I get a lot of hate mail, a lot of very mean things from men. And that affected my life as well. So I probably right now, when's the last time? Today. Today it's just feeling I'm trying to push to 1 million followers, and really just being comfortable with my identity. I think, a part of my title and hats are a content creator, and those are just ups and downs, as well. Those, it's just ups and downs with that. You're fighting the algorithm. You want to be authentic, but you're getting brand deals from people. And so there's all of these components of it as well that I think has affected just my day to day. But I would say most of the time I'm kind of a mess falling apart. And then I have moments where I'm just cruising through. But I think a breakthrough is coming, and I feel my life getting very quiet, and I know that something good is really happening. I just moved my only sibling down to the DC area. So I feel like my life is, it's looking a lot better for me, and I feel more calm and at peace. So yeah, things are getting better.
So it sounds like you got through it by leaning on family.
Yeah, this is with love. Look, hopefully none of my family is listening. My family ain't got that much to give, honestly, or much to help. But I think more so how did I get through it? It's just recreating myself over and over and over again, trying one thing and then, trying things that all these things were authentic to myself. That's one thing about me. I don't do anything that doesn't feel authentic to who I am. And I've experienced this with brands hey, can you do? No, I'm not going to promote a product that I don't even see, I don't even support for, a couple $1,000s. I'm not going to do that. But I think doing things that are authentic to me and just kind of rolling with it. Some people are just so scared to just experiment. And I think again, as a trauma response, living in so many different places, I've always had to be a chameleon, and so I think I really more so just try different things and see what felt best. And what I think feels best to me is just raw, authentic content and not really caring what people say about it. I have an assistant now. Sometimes I don't even read the comments when I know it's one that's going to get people riled up. So yeah, just reinventing myself and trying over again and over again. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And also, I think, this is what trauma looks like. People think trauma is in a bed crying all day in a corner. Trauma is beautiful. Trauma is strong. Trauma is resilient. Trauma is transformative. So don't think that this cannot be you. You can live through trauma, you can survive it, and there is hope. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom today and your experiences and your vulnerability. Where can we find you and follow you and support you?
Yes, so I am Tisia, X is in xylophone, V is in Victor, S is in Sam on Instagram and TikTok. And if you search my whole name, Tia Safo, you'll see my YouTube, and it's going to be launching on my birthday on April 20th. So I'll have a whole podcast called Dear Tisia, and women and men and everyone will be writing in, and we'll have guests and just be talking about all type of good stuff. So I'm very excited about that.
Congratulations. I can't wait.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. Make sure that you subscribe. When you subscribe, it helps me to continue to deliver this mental health information for free to millions of listeners. So please support my mission. Please pick up my book, High Functioning, and let's build a happier life together.